Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luisa Sanchez. I am a senior at Bow County High School and also a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. Thank you all so much for joining us today at what is a very pivotal moment in our fight for better public schools all throughout Kentucky. But first, it wouldn't feel right to start today's remarks without first acknowledging some very difficult news that we received last night. We at the Kentucky Student Voice Team are deeply saddened by the loss of Dr. Tom Shelton, who was a champion of Kentucky's public schools, who believed that students not only deserve a seat in the classroom, but a seat at the table when it came to shaping their education. His willingness to listen to young people and beyond that also treat us as true partners profoundly helped impact our work, and he meant more to us than he could ever know. We hope that our media event today in some small way honors the work and the legacy of Dr. Shelton, and we'd like to pause for just a moment to pay our respects to him. Thank you. And with that, we'll continue with our media updates for today. Last week, the Franklin Circuit Court ruled that the Kentucky Student Voice Team and 13 student plaintiffs from all over Kentucky have standing to move forward with our case against the Commonwealth of Kentucky for failing to provide us with an adequate and an equitable public education. While this ruling is only the first step in a longer legal process, we know that it affirms to us three essential things. The first one is that we as students have the right to have our voices heard within the court system. Second, the state legislature and its leaders are accountable for the conditions within our public schools today. And third, the constitutional rights promised to us by the landmark 1989 Rose State Supreme Court decision are not being adequately upheld. These principles are the foundation of our lawsuit, and they reflect what we have consistently heard from Kentuckians across the Commonwealth. And that is that our public schools are struggling because our elected officials, our public servants, have failed their constitutional responsibilities to students, to families, and the teachers who support us on a daily basis. Given what we have been hearing, it came to us as absolutely no surprise that when we filed this case, those same policymakers asked the court to dismiss our case entirely. To do that, they attempted to shift blame away from themselves and instead to individual teachers and administrators here in Kentucky. But Kentucky's Constitution and courts are clear that their responsibility to maintain a constitutional system of public education lies squarely within the state legislature. When lawmakers weaken the conditions students need to learn by eroding access to counselors, the arts, civics, career pathways, and well-supported educators, they cannot shift blame onto the very people working inside our schools every day who are trying to solve our problems. An education system that fails to prepare students for civic participation, for economic opportunity, and for a life beyond graduation is failing because the state has not upheld its constitutional obligations. That is why this ruling is a victory not only for us as students, but for the educators and thousands of public school employees who continue to serve young people within a system that has not given them the adequate tools and resources that they need to succeed. And that is why today's ruling is a victory not only for us as students, but also for the tireless teachers and other dedicated school staff in our Commonwealth who give so much of themselves to Kentucky's young people every single day. Thank you.
Good job. Hello, everybody. My name is Caroline Segabarth, and I'm a Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School sophomore, as well as a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. The recent court decision is a resounding moment, but it's also important to be clear about what it does and does not mean. The judge did not rule that Kentucky is failing to meet its constitutional obligations, and the judge did not yet rule on what specific remedies the state legislature must take. Today's victory, while substantial, is procedural in nature. What the court did rule is that students have raised serious constitutional questions that the Commonwealth cannot avoid answering. While the state argued that issues of education quality and adequacy are not appropriate for judicial review, the judge rejected that argument, as well as each contention for which this motion was filed. And that matters. It matters because the issues raised in this case are not hypothetical. They are the lived realities of students across Kentucky. These realities look like schools without counselors or mental health supports, inconsistent student access to arts, civic, and career pathways, and growing funding disparities across districts based on zip code. This is what has led us to file this lawsuit, and these are the types of issues that the court has deemed now vital to be fully examined. To be sure, though the denial of this motion to dismiss our case is extremely validating, our goal has never been to score a simple procedural win. The real victory will come when policymakers fix the systematic inequities that undermine our schools and ensure that Kentucky fulfills its constitutional promise to every student. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Maggie Donworth and I am a sophomore at Tates Creek High School and a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. Legally, today's ruling means this case now moves forward. The denial of the motions to dismiss allows our litigation to proceed into the next phase, called discovery, where the state must begin turning over information. During discovery, the Commonwealth will be required to produce documents, data, and records related to how Kentucky's education system is funded, governed, and administered. Eventually, this case will move towards trial, where the court will be asked to determine whether the state is meeting its constitutional obligation to provide every student with an adequate and equitable education. At the same time, our work outside the classroom continues. Students are not waiting for the courts to do all the work. Through sustained community engagement and ongoing research, we are continuing to document what students are experiencing and what it will take to meet the standards set by the Rose decision we identify in our lawsuit. On February 21st, our team will be in Danville hosting the fourth in our series of youth-led public hearings. The hearings provide us with a platform to question expert witnesses and surface local solutions to some of the problems in our lawsuit. There are many examples of teachers and educators who are already working towards a better educational environment, and our work is to showcase what they are doing as examples to how we can better fix systemic inequities. I will now pass it to Ismail to close us out.
Thank you, Maggie. My name's Ismail Khan. I'm a freshman at Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School and a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. Today's ruling affirms something important. This case, it's not new. It's not abstract. This case is rooted in decades of history, data, and lived experiences that we, past and current students, have endured. That's why, alongside the litigation, our team has documented the broader story in a book titled Why Kentucky Students Are Suing the State: Classrooms, Courts, and the Constitution. This book provides context for this very moment, looking back at the original Rose decision, the progress Kentucky made in the 1990s, and how we arrived at the conditions that led students to file this case today. We see it as a resource for anyone to learn or understand what's at stake as this lawsuit moves forward, and why today's ruling matters. You can learn more about the book at our website, ksvt.org, and you can follow our lawsuit as it moves forward also on ksvt.org. Thank you all for being here today, for taking students seriously, and for standing with Kentucky students as we work to realize the promise of Rose and ensure that Kentucky's public schools are again a national inspiration and the best they can be.